There are 10 things to say that make any woman's walls crumble. Instantly, I'm about to share something most women will never admit: the exact phrases that bypass every defense we've built and speak directly to our deepest desires. This isn't about looks, money, or charm. This is about understanding the language of the female soul. And when you learn to speak this language, resistance becomes impossible. I've been on both sides of this. I felt my walls crumble when a man said exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment, and I've watched my friends do the same thing again and again. This isn't manipulation. This is understanding. This is speaking to the woman. We are beneath all the armor we wear. Here's what I've learned about the words that make women weak in the knees, that bypass our logic and speak directly to our hearts. There are 10 specific things you can say, 10 phrases that tap into our deepest psychological needs and emotional desires. And when you understand not just what to say, but when to say it and how to say it, you'll never struggle to connect with a woman again.
Phrase 1. I see you. Let me start with something that might surprise you. The most powerful thing you can say to a woman isn't "I love you." It's "I see you," but not just those 3 words, the way you say it when you say it, and what you mean when you say it. We spend our entire lives feeling invisible, misunderstood, reduced to what we look like, what we do for work, what role we play in other people's lives. But when a man looks at us, really looks at us and says, "I see you," something magical happens. I remember the first time a man said this to me. We were having a deep conversation about my dreams, my fears, my complicated relationship with my family, and in the middle of me explaining something I'd never shared with anyone, he stopped me. He looked directly into my eyes and said, "I see you, not just what you're telling me, but who you are underneath all of this, and she's incredible." I literally felt my heart stop, because he wasn't just hearing my words, he was seeing my soul. But here's the key: you can't just say, "I see you." As a pickup line, you have to mean it. You have to actually see her, her complexity, her contradictions, her beauty, and her brokenness. When you truly see a woman, when you acknowledge not just her surface but her depth, she will feel more connected to you than she's ever felt to anyone. Phrase 2. You're safe with me. Here's something most men don't understand about women. We live in a state of hypervigilance that you can't even imagine. We're constantly scanning for danger. Physical danger, emotional danger, the danger of being judged, used, dismissed, or betrayed. This isn't paranoia, this is survival. This is what we've learned from experience, from other women, from a world that often sees us as objects rather than people. So when a man says "you're safe with me" and means it, when he creates a space where we can let our guard down, that's when we become irresistible to him. But safety isn't just about physical protection, it's emotional safety. The safety to be ourselves without judgment. The safety to be vulnerable, without it being used against us. The safety to trust without being betrayed. I'll never forget the man who said this to me, after I'd shared something deeply personal and embarrassing. I was bracing myself for judgment, for him to see me differently, for him to use my vulnerability against me later. Instead, he took my hand and said, "Thank you for trusting me with that. You're safe with me always." In that moment, I felt something I'd never felt with a man before: complete safety. And with that safety came complete openness. When you can create emotional safety for a woman, when you can make her feel truly secure in your presence, she will give you access to parts of herself that no one else has ever seen. Phrase 3. Tell me more about that. Here's a secret that will revolutionize your relationships with women. We are starving for someone who genuinely wants to understand us. Most people listen to respond. They're waiting for their turn to talk, to share their own story, to make it about them. But when you say, "Tell me more about that," with genuine curiosity, when you lean in instead of waiting for your turn, something profound happens. We feel heard. We feel valued. We feel like our thoughts and experiences matter to you. I remember being on a date where I mentioned something briefly about my work, expecting him to nod politely and change the subject, like most men do. Instead, he said, "Tell me more about that. What's it like to navigate that kind of environment? How do you handle the challenges?" For the next 20 minutes, I opened up about my professional struggles, my ambitions, my fears about my career. And he listened, really listened. asked follow-up questions, showed genuine interest in my world. By the end of that conversation, I was completely captivated by him, not because he was trying to impress me with his own stories, but because he made me feel like I was the most interesting person in the room. When you show genuine curiosity about a woman's inner world, when you ask her to tell you more, instead of trying to top her stories with your own, you become irresistible to her. Phrase 4. I trust your judgment. This one hits different because it speaks to something we rarely experience: respect for our intelligence and decision-making abilities. We're used to men questioning our choices, mansplaining our own experiences to us, or treating us like we need to be saved from our own decisions. But when a man says, I trust your judgment, and means it when he respects our ability to make good decisions for ourselves, that's incredibly attractive. I was dating someone who I was considering ending things with, and I was torn about it when I shared my confusion with a male friend expecting advice or pressure to make a decision. He surprised me. He said, You know yourself better than anyone. I trust your judgment. Whatever you decide, I know it'll be the right choice for you. That level of respect for my autonomy, for my ability to navigate my own life, it was incredibly powerful. When you trust a woman's judgment, when you respect her intelligence and decision-making abilities, you're showing her a level of respect that most men never offer. And that respect, that's what makes us want to be around you. That's what makes us trust you in return. Phrase 5. I'm proud of you. Here's something that might shock you. Most women have never heard these words from a man who wasn't obligated to say them. We hear I love you, we hear you're beautiful, but I'm proud of you, that hits a completely different emotional center, because pride implies that you see our struggles, our growth, our achievements as meaningful. It means you're paying attention to our journey, not just our destination. When a man tells us he's proud of us, when he acknowledges our efforts, our progress, our strength in overcoming challenges, we feel seen in a way that goes beyond physical attraction or romantic love. I remember working incredibly hard on a project that was personally meaningful to me. When I shared the results with a man I was dating, he didn't just say, That's great, and move on. He looked at me with genuine admiration and said, I'm so proud of you. I've watched you pour yourself into this, and seeing you succeed, it means everything. In that moment, I felt more connected to him than I had after months of dating, because he wasn't just celebrating my success, he was acknowledging my effort, my dedication, my growth as a person. When you tell a woman you're proud of her, you're speaking to her need for recognition, for validation, for someone to witness her journey and find it meaningful. Phrase 6. What do you need right now? This phrase is powerful because it does something most people never do. It prioritizes our needs over your agenda. We're used to people wanting things from us: our time, our energy, our attention, our bodies. But rarely does someone ask what we need and genuinely want to provide it. When you ask, what do you need right now? You're shifting the entire dynamic of the interaction. You're making it about our well-being instead of your desires. I was having a terrible day, once feeling overwhelmed and stressed, when a man I was seeing called me. Instead of launching into his own day or trying to cheer me up with jokes, he asked this simple question: What do you need right now? How can I support you? I told him I just needed someone to listen without trying to fix anything. And that's exactly what he did. He listened. He validated my feelings. He didn't try to solve my problems or minimize my stress. That level of emotional intelligence, that ability to put my needs first in that moment, it created a bond between us that went far beyond physical attraction. When you ask what we need and then actually provide it, you're showing us that our well-being matters to you more than your own agenda. Phrase 7. You challenge me. Here's something that might surprise you. We don't want to be with men who just agree with everything we say. We want to be with men who see us as intellectual equals. When you say you challenge me, you're acknowledging that we bring something valuable to your life, that our perspectives, our ideas, our way of seeing the world enhances your own understanding. We want to be with men who grow because of us, not in spite of us. I was in a relationship once where the man constantly deferred to me, never disagreed, never pushed back on my ideas. I thought I wanted that. I thought I wanted someone who would just go along with everything I said. But it became boring. It felt like dating myself. There was no growth, no expansion, no intellectual stimulation. Then I met someone who would respectfully challenge my viewpoints, who would offer different perspectives, who would engage with my ideas and build on them one day. After a particularly intense discussion about politics, he said, "You challenged me to think deeper about things I thought I had figured out. I love that about you." That acknowledgement that I was intellectually stimulating to him, that I was contributing to his growth as a person, that was incredibly attractive. When you tell a woman she challenges you, you're telling her that she's not just decoration in your life, she's a catalyst for your growth. Phrase 8. I choose you. This phrase is powerful because it speaks to something we desperately need to hear, that we're not just convenient, we're not just available. We're chosen in a world where we have endless options, where dating apps make everyone seem replaceable. The idea of being chosen, truly chosen, is intoxicating. But it's not just about saying the words, it's about the context, the timing, the meaning behind them. I was in a complicated situation once where a man I cared about had other options. Other women were pursuing him, and I was constantly wondering where I stood one evening after a beautiful date. He took my hands and said, "I want you to know something, I choose you. Not because you're the only option, but because you're the right option, because of who you are, how you make me feel, what we create together." The certainty in his voice, the deliberateness of his choice. It eliminated all my insecurity in that moment. When you tell a woman you choose her, you're giving her something precious, the knowledge that she's not just a placeholder until something better comes along. Phrase 9. You make me want to be better. Here's something beautiful about love. It should inspire growth. It should make both people reach for a higher version of themselves. When you tell a woman, "You make me want to be better," you're telling her that her presence in your life is transformative, that she inspires you to grow, to improve, to reach for more. We don't want to be with men who see us as projects to fix, but we do want to be with men who see us as inspiration to become the best version of themselves. I remember the first time a man said this to me. We were talking about our goals, our dreams, our plans for the future. And he stopped mid-conversation and said, "This being with you makes me want to be better. Not because you're trying to change me, but because you deserve the best version of me." That acknowledgement that I inspired him to grow, that my presence in his life motivated him to reach higher. It was one of the most romantic things anyone had ever said to me. When you tell a woman she makes you want to be better, you're telling her that she has a positive impact on your life, that she's not just taking from you but giving to you in ways that matter. Phrase 10. I'm not going anywhere. This is the ultimate phrase of commitment, of security, of steadfast love. We live in a world where people leave at the first sign of difficulty, where relationships are disposable, where commitment is rare. So when a man looks us in the eye and says, "I'm not going anywhere," with absolute conviction, it hits us in a place we didn't even know was vulnerable. But you can't just say this, you have to mean it. You have to be prepared to back it up with actions. I was going through a particularly difficult time in my life. I was stressed, emotional, not my best self. I was sure the man I was with would get tired of dealing with my problems and leave. Instead, one evening when I was apologizing for being difficult, he stopped me. "Hey," he said, taking my face in his hands, "I'm not going anywhere, not when things are hard, not when you're struggling, not when life gets complicated. I'm here, I'm staying." The relief I felt in that moment, the safety, the security, the knowledge that I didn't have to be perfect to be loved, it was overwhelming. When you tell a woman you're not going anywhere, you're offering her something rare and precious, the promise of permanence in a world of temporary connections. So why do these phrases work? Why do they bypass our defenses and speak directly to our hearts? Because they address our deepest emotional needs. The need to be seen, to be safe, to be heard, to be respected, to be valued, to be supported, to be challenged, to be chosen, to be inspiring, and to be loved unconditionally. These aren't pickup lines. These are expressions of genuine connection, of deep understanding, of authentic care. And that's why they're so powerful, because they're not about getting something from us. They're about giving something to us, something we rarely receive from men. When you speak to a woman's soul, when you address her deepest needs and desires, resistance becomes impossible, because there's nothing to resist. There's only connection, understanding, and the desire to open her heart to someone who truly sees her. But here's the deeper truth. These phrases only work if they're genuine, if they come from a place of authentic care and understanding. Women have incredible intuition. We can sense when someone is being manipulative, when they're saying what they think we want to hear without meaning it. So before you use any of these phrases, ask yourself, do I genuinely see this woman? Do I truly want to create safety for her? Am I actually curious about her inner world? Because if you're just looking for words to get what you want, these phrases will feel hollow, they'll backfire. But if you genuinely care about the woman you're speaking to, if you want to create real connection and understanding, then these words become powerful tools of love. Remember this, the most irresistible thing about a man isn't his words, it's his genuine care for the woman he's speaking to. When you truly see us, when you create safety for us, when you value our thoughts and respect our choices, when you choose us and commit to us, that's when we become yours completely, not because we have no choice, but because we choose you. In return, the most powerful seduction isn't about making us want you. It's about making us feel truly seen, valued, and loved. When you speak to our souls instead of just our bodies, when you connect with our hearts instead of just our desires, that's when you become truly irresistible, because every woman is looking for someone who sees past the surface to the incredible person underneath. Be that person, speak those words, mean every single one of them, and watch as walls come down, hearts open up, and love becomes inevitable.